External device removed.
Good for stress and very good for motivation, okay? And you can look on page 1, you'll see all the things that I've done, but on the widow of a veteran, I saved his life. He helped save mine too at the same time. And I invented costume karaoke, but also I was in business. If you've ever heard of Broadway Express, in 1991, it was the #1 trucking company. And they asked some of the union people, which union and management doesn't They had a big thing like Gus has there, and it said Broadway's #1, but in 10 years they're going to be out of business, or almost out of business. And that's how come they're implementing as many changes as possible and everything. So I was part of that thinking process, you know, big binder like this of all kinds of things. So that's great.
I'm
Grammarly or something. That was January last year. So I submitted 2 haiku. I never written haiku before. I'm 76. What am I writing haiku about? Anyways, submitted 2 in our group, and then before you know it, they're coming out of my ears, you know. God. And I don't want them, but they're coming, you know. So in 1 year, I think I've written over 1,000 of them.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
So I said, my God, what the hell am I supposed to do with this thing, you know? So,
Can you write one for us today?
okay.
There we go.
About
What was it that you write?
Haiku, 3 lines of poetry.
You gotta wait till it's over though.
Okay, yeah, sure. Okay.
And your first name again?
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Doctor, what's your first name?
Tony Di Malanta.
And do you want us to address you by doctor?
It doesn't matter now. No. I'm,
Okay.
I don't diagnose anybody. I'm a psychiatrist. I don't diagnose anybody. So you're all
Sure.
I didn't need the money. I was a doctor, so I'm earning enough for me, which I don't have enough because I gave all my money to my wife. You know, happy wife, happy life. And the next line is happy husband, who cares? I belong to the Adam and Eve, what do you call this, members, and Eve gave away, Adam gave his rib away to his wife,
Yes.
and then he ate the apple.
Yes.
Guys are in trouble. So anyway, that's my.
Oh, we're glad that you're here. We're glad that you're
So I
here.
just got published for poetry, and it's a Circle of Ecstasy.
Wow.
I just what I wanted to present to do really is this.
So you just got it published?
Yeah,
Let's clap.
Oh,
That's a big deal.
there's no money in poetry, but I don't need the money, so I'm okay. So anyways, that's because after four months I said I gotta do something about this. So I started writing. Before you know it, I didn't know I was getting into something like a marathon. Book writing is a marathon, no income, you know, and all that. But that's okay, as long as my wife stays with me, and we've been married for 53 years. So at 76, I don't know what the heck I'm doing, trying to do something, but I don't have enough time in the day. I think everything is exciting.
You're welcome to come in. I can put more chairs.
And what I wanted to really present is this. I call the circle of ecstasy is the routine. I mean, the wow, you know, woo, and then the sadness. I mean, it grabs you like something. But what I wanted to present is, I'm walking from here to there. How many ecstasy miracles did I get?
Interesting.
You know, because I'm a doctor, I know there's trillions of cells that have to agree to make that walk possible. Because if some of the cells say, I'm going that way, I'm going this way, you go that way, I'll fall down.
So it sounds like we need to have this gentleman do a meeting. I'll talk to you about it afterwards.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and keep moving.
Anyways, that's it. Okay, thank you.
I don't think they
You
can
gotta
hear you
speak up,
down
Ken.
here. And we're trying to record.
Well, recording's behind, and that won't be a problem.
Excuse me, got a 13-month-old great-granddaughter, 4-year-old great-grandson, and the rest of the whole family. Keep him busy.
I'm Sherry Gott. I am a licensed clinical social worker. I spent 20 years in forensic and recently pivoted over to hospice.
So can you tell us when you say you were in forensics, take it a little one step further?
Special alternative sentencing and mitigation work, working with criminals, defense attorneys, judges, prosecutors, that type of thing.
Thank you.
I'm John Nelson, and I'm retired.
A little louder.
I'm retired and I'm very interested in technology that makes things simple. And I do go back to avenues a lot. I think about all that, because that's times were simple. And this right here, that happens a lot. I see something that's simple and then people take it and they make our minds, it makes my mind clear, because you can take it and a design or some other thing that everybody knows about, and you can make it where it works good. And one thing that she's connected with transportation. Well, transportation is very, very big because it takes some of our inventions or our food supply or whatever, brings it one place to another. So I like the studying on the internet about tires and stuff like that. So tires is a big invention that made the world move and progress. And it seems to me that the simple things, we make them complicated, and it seems like more and more people are trying to make them simple. Like the poetry, to me, it's not complicated. But you put something out there simple, and it makes people more adaptable to our world, because people see things that are simple, like a funnel or tire, and somebody comes along and makes it more down to earth, where it doesn't seem so complicated. And so that's part of my thinking when I come to meetings like this, is it helps my complicated mind become less complicated, and it makes me think more positive, because it seems like the world is so advanced that the common person becomes less and less adaptable to the world. When they see the simple things, it makes them come back into the community a bit more. So
Thank you.
The way I see it, the way I see things.
I'm just a crazy person with crazy ideas.
What's your name?
My name's Brian.
Brian.
So, I'll pass me that.
We're glad that you're here.
I know the psychiatrist and the shrink. I'm in the right place.
Yes. I'm going to see the priest and we'll have a set up for a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll have to walk into a bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Either that or be out in fishing boat.
Yeah. Or on an airplane. Just coming down.
My name is Augustus Dombin. I am going to OTC for electrical engineering. In the meantime, I'd just like to play around with circuitry components and electronics, dabble in 3D printing, and just kind of make little kooky projects that entertain myself mostly.
And you brought something for a little later, right?
Yes, I did.
All right, Galen.
How many of y'all lucky folks got a pencil like this? Oh, no, one that says, I got this arrow thing on it. Got that Indian name. That pencil's worth more today than it was a couple of days ago.
The Kansas City Chiefs. I didn't even realize that.
I see, guys.
So the lucky one's got the good pencils.
You want one
Hey, kidding,
that has that on it?
Sure.
Switch me out.
Everything plays good.
I want to talk a little bit about something that we've all
Cards, business cards.
probably got 5 or 6 of, and that's a simple little funnel. And is there anybody in here that don't have a funnel? Anybody? Raise your hand if you don't have a funnel.
I get upset when I get.
Everybody's got a funnel. Everybody's got a funnel. Well, I want y'all to take some notes and then contemplate this. And this is kind of a train of thought. There he goes. Ken's got a funnel. What is a funnel? Help me out. What is a funnel?
When I think of a funnel, I think of a funnel cloud for, what's that, tornado or something, like Dorothy and the Wizard of
Oh,
Oz?
let's get more simple. Let's get more simple. What is a funnel? What does it do? Why would I have a funnel? Why would I want a funnel?
Why wouldn't that work? Because it has to do this to go.
Hey, I'm running the show. You're not cutting me off, friend.
I look at it as the things that you own, like bags of stuff and stuff like that. It's usually too big unless you scoop it out. And if you take the larger item of container and you want it to go into a smaller container, the funnel is the handiest thing.
You're getting real close. You're getting real close to the answer I'm after.
It provides direction.
It does that.
It reduces the output of its input just via.
It does that.
Just drain things from big to small.
From big to small.
Or smaller.
Well, I wrote down a few things and see if I'm right or wrong.
We have a comment online, an object to assist in aiding an ingredient into a small mouth container.
That's what I do with my Mama Jane spices. I only buy a little bit at a time because they're only good for 6 months.
Okay.
And I use a funnel all the time.
Okay.
To put it in the jar.
Well, it redirects poured liquid or granules. It redirects them. In other words, if you just poured them out, they just go wherever they went. But if you pour into a funnel, it redirects them into another place, does it not? Sure. It's also an assistance to avoid spillage, because if you just poured it out, it'd be a mess all over. But if you pour it through a funnel, it's a mess only in one little place. But if you put the funnel into something, which I didn't bring any something, and you pour into it, it all goes in. Yeah, you can put a funnel into another funnel. See how that works? That's one of my daddy's old funnels. And it's got some of the most peculiar design attributes that I have ever seen. And this is the typical funnel you buy today at the grocery store, Harbor Freight, and they're like $1 for 6 of them in different sizes, and they're injection molded. They lack a lot of the features that make a funnel really a good funnel. They assist to avoid spillage. They give a specific output from a broad input. You pour a 5-gallon bucket into the funnel, you can fill into the gas tank of your car through a little tube. Specific. They make the flow specific, yes? Okay. It also governs the flow of the output. You can pour real fast or real slow into this big old funnel, and it's gonna hold that up there for me. And it's only gonna come out this end about so fast. And that's common sense.
You do it too much, it'll start coming out the top end too.
Well, then you're the idiot. If you overflow it. The other thing that a funnel does is if you put that in a bottle or a jug of some kind, and it wedges up tight, this particular funnel, see that groove pressed into that funnel? See that groove? You stick that down in there, it pours the liquid in, but it gives the air a place to come back and out.
Yep.
And a good funnel will have something so that when you set it down, it doesn't seal up tight, an airlock. A better model of this funnel has got some little splines down it, but this is smooth. You see, you shove that in a soda bottle, and it'll airlock just as sure as the world. So you get what you pay for.
I didn't know that's what the problem was with that, till you just said that.
You learned something.
I didn't know
Hey,
that.
I'm glad you came today.
I knew it slowed down, and
You gotta let the air out.
yeah.
The other thing, a funnel, it's a final opportunity for separation or filtering. You look in the bottom of that funnel, there's a screen in there. Every gallon of gasoline, we used to get our gasoline in 55-gallon drums, and they set in a Model A truck bed, and the sun would come up in the morning and shine on them black barrels, and they all of a sudden you'd hear them. There's, I think, a dozen of them in there. They go boom. Of course, my girl cousins come to visit one time, and early in the morning they hear that, and they didn't know what, thought the boogeyman was after them. But it happened every morning. It's because of expansion.
Your water bottle is an example of a funnel. If you turn it upside down, it goes glug, glug, glug.
Anyway, every gallon of gasoline for many, many years was poured out of those 55-gallon jugs into 5-gallon buckets, and that 5-gallon bucket then was poured back through that funnel into a tractor, and we burned gasoline in a tractor. That's before really diesel tractors, and one of the old tractors took distillate, which is kind of like kerosene, but those all went on the auction when they sold the farm.
A painter's funnel has the tip of it, not necessarily a hole, but a pattern of a very fine mesh. So when you're pouring your paint in, it streams out the impurities of the paint.
I did not know that. I did not know that.
It's more of a specialized cone than a funnel, but still does the funnel job.
Okay, but it separates it. You get the ucky stuff, the scum off the top, you get a chance to catch it before you brush it on the wall.
There you go.
The funnels to assist cleanliness in the fill area.
Fill area.
Wherever you're doing this,
It didn't overflow.
it helps us keep clean. If you're pouring oil or something, you don't want it all over the place. Like you're in the kitchen and you got a gallon jug of oil and you want to fill your little oil bottle, you use a funnel so you don't pour it all over the counter. That's what I'm talking about.
Or the floor.
Or the floor. So, as we think and we boil this down, one of the big things that a funnel does is it allows a differential of the pour and the fill rate. You can pour it in faster than it will fill.
That's a Tin Man's hat also on the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, there you go.
I've got that in my collection.
It makes a buffer because none of us pour perfectly. We all pour at different rates, and when we see it getting full, we back off a little, or some people even stop and let the thing go down and chug it a little air, and then we pour again. So it allows for the imperfection of humanity to fill things accurately and cleanly. And I wrote a question.
We got another one from the live stream. A gravy funnel is designed to separate fat from liquid.
Okay. Okay.
That's good.
Fat from liquid. That'd be some kind of a weir that it had in it to separate the differences, yeah.
Since I'm a vegetarian, I have no idea what that funnel would look like. Same as this?
It has a weir. You pour into one,
Sure.
and the gluggy stuff stays in the bottom, and the liquid rolls over the weir.
The spout, it's like a pitcher with the spout,
Yeah.
the opening at the bottom. So when you're pouring it, it takes from the bottom, and the water and oil, or vinegar and oil, either one, if you wanted to do. If their densities are different, one will float, one will not.
Kind of a funky looking contraption.
There you go.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is. I love those separators.
Thank you.
I want you to write down
I've never done that.
Yeah.
a funnel. What does it absolutely always accomplish? What does a funnel absolutely always accomplish? That's an answer.
Go from one place to another.
What is it absolutely always, when you use a funnel, I guess I should say that more accurately, what is actually accomplished? And this is simple. I'm trying to make our thoughts basic
So
and
from a
simple.
large container to a small container. Or a small opening. The container could be inside,
Movement
but the opening is small.
of physical, I don't know.
Movement of material from one place to another.
Yeah, Yeah, material.
Material or liquid.
It always
And
does it.
liquid's a material.
Yeah.
It controls flow.
That's good.
Well, you know, Ken, that is what I wrote down. I says that it changes flow and or pressure. The same, you've seen the difference between amperage and voltage. Amperage is flow and voltage is pressure in electricity. Am I right or wrong? Flow and pressure. You can pour it, you know, a head pressure of whatever, 2 feet, and when it comes out that spout, it's coming out of there at a higher pressure because the gravity is concentrated in the output. So you have changed the pressure, although it may not be a full atmosphere, you've still changed the pressure in the use of a funnel. Can you tell me that this isn't a funnel?
That's not fun.
If you turn it this way.
Got the pressure.
Yeah, this one's got to tell you.
Can you tell me that that is not a funnel? Right now it's a funnel.
Yes.
Okay, when you put pressure behind it, finger pressure can give a lot of pressure out this end. Okay, so you get amplification. Well, you're changing flow and pressure. That's really my point, is a funnel is a concentration. You have to take a venturi in an automobile carburetor. You're forcing air to go faster through a narrow place.
What's a venturi?
A venturi is an apparatus that allows something to move through a narrowed area. Like in your new hot tub. They blow the water through a narrowed area so it goes real fast so you can't keep up swimming. They said you'd never outswim that. It's got a variable speed on the pump. That's the reason, because they narrowed it in the middle.
Maybe that wedding dress will fit.
That's how the tornado works. I'm not sure.
Yes, yes. It always changes the flow and the pressure.
That's a good one with the tornado, with what you just said.
Yeah.
He was trying to describe a funnel going the other direction. You
Yeah.
came up with the reverse of the funnel, because it starts small
Don't
and
pull it
goes big.
up.
Yeah.
Suck it up.
Well, I had the question in 2 ways. What does a funnel absolutely always accomplish? And what can it potentially accomplish? Now, we're all inventors. What can it potentially accomplish, given some operator skill?
I like the suggestion of the Tin Man's oil cap on his head. That's a good one.
Well, this week
Is that form or function, though? I think that's more form.
I saw on YouTube where they took a bottle just like that, they poked a hole in the cap, enough to put well, you know, the things you're not supposed to put Q-tip in. Did you see it?
I did. And then
Go ahead.
chopsticks.
Yeah, go ahead and
And
tell me that.
the slow dripping of the water,
For your plants?
for your plants.
So they
Yeah.
take it upside down, they put the Q-tip in, and then they take a
Duct
piece of
tape.
duct tape this
To a chopstick.
to a chopstick, so that it would water your plants, which I thought was pretty cool. It was just a drip through the,
Yeah.
through the,
It says here, what it can potentially accomplish with operator skill added. So I'm going to say that takes some operator skill to run that duct tape part.
drill the hole in.
Changes something from no control to control. Just pouring something goes everywhere.
You know, you said something huge.
Yeah.
We walk through life, and we change in our thinking and in our dealing in life. We take the walk through life and we change it from something with no control. We direct it into something with control, and it adds value. Yes, if it's controlled, it adds value. Yeah,
So you're saying that if it's controlled
it's,
as live,
With one.
you wanna stay in the box. They say, live in airtight compartments for the day. If you always stayed in this box with this funnel, where would the new ingenuities come for that big funnel?
control typically always adds value. If I were a government and I could control all my people, I'm gonna get more out of them. Doesn't mean they're gonna like it.
Could be destructive control or advantage control. I'm a psychiatrist now.
Yeah,
Because I think human nature can become too controlling to the point of
Absolutely.
messing up things.
Absolutely. But the reason that we see blatantly in our world for control is to enhance value.
Yes.
Now, value to who? Oh, for the better good,
Whatever the agenda is.
whatever the agenda, it enhances value. Control enhances value.
Waste.
Reduce waste, as you said.
Reducing waste adds value,
Reducing
because
waste.
if I'm using a funnel, I'm not spilling
And
the
that's
oil.
control,
and
yes?
Control, and it reduces waste,
That's control.
yes.
Okay. And you're pouring, say you're pouring water. Water's cheap. It's almost free. Or at least it used to be. So if you're controlling water and you're doing a better job because you're using a control device, yes, that water is no longer free.
You just walk behind me, that's a lot simpler.
Now, water finds its lowest
Just walk
level,
behind me.
but that was a twisted word deal I just pulled on you. It is no longer free. If you control it, it's no longer free. Same with many things when we control them. When you control and freedom are opposites.
What do you think?
Well,
Are control and freedom opposite from your view?
well, it all depends upon the context and the layers of your thinking about what to do, because to me, anything that's of value or control, I can twist it in ways that it can be either destructive or not. So I go back down to the intention. You know, because you see, we are so creative. Creativity is never lost. We just don't exercise it. So when I become intending to do something, then my
We don't always think ahead.
Yeah,
What
sure.
may happen from it too.
Yes.
I mean, we get confused in that.
So you have to know your audience for the funnel. If you go into major plants that
Well,
are,
now we're talking water. Okay, let's up the ante. Let's go to Madagascar olive oil or some, you know, it's $1 a drop. That's worth control.
Yep.
You change the whole game. Or if we're going to talk about angle of repose. Does anybody not know what the angle of repose is? What that really means?
I know all the words, but
The angle that you're trying to
repose.
Tell us.
If I pour from a single point 5 bushels of sand on this table and assume that there's no crack for it to get away, and I just let it hit in the same place, it will build up a conic.
Yeah.
And it's sand. That's the angle of repose. The angle of repose is really, I think, half of that.
is that ICONIC? Iconic? The angle of repose, you said if you build it up.
No, the angle of repose is the angle that it lies at rest. Wheat has an angle of repose. And you've probably driven through Kansas and you've seen, looks like the side burst out of the elevator. Well, it did. They drilled a hole in the elevator and they poured all the wheat that they didn't have room for out the side of the elevator way up in the air, and it made this big pile of wheat out the side of the elevator.
Yeah, repose is short for reposition.
the angle of reposition.
Yeah.
Okay, angle of repose, and then they'll go put tarp over it, and they'll store the wheat like that until they can get it ordered out onto a train and get it gone. Okay, if you take barley, barley's slick. Is it barley or oats? Oats are slick.
Yeah.
Oats' angle of repose is a lot flatter. Water's angle of repose is 0. It finds the lowest spot. Now you can run, and that's usually we're talking about dry materials. Some materials are liquid and some materials are not liquid, and some materials like, and that's all dependent on really the temperature they're at. Like mercury, you can, mercury's kind of like water. It'll find its angle of repose, but then it's going to have a meniscus at the sides. You're going to have a bubble at the sides because of surface tension. Angle of repose, when you build a funnel, it works in reverse. If I pour this funnel full of sand, and the angle of repose is more than the angle of this funnel, it's going to drain out, and there's going to be a hole in there, and there's still going to be sand left in that funnel. But the angle of repose, the gravity did not allow it to slide down. And so when you build a bin with a hopper bottom, you got to worry about what's going in that bin. We're going to have Dippin' Dots ice cream in that bin. It's a hopper, and it's got a bottom so that you can get all the goodie out of the bottom of it. It's a funnel bottom, some people would call it. What are you putting in that? You putting little dry ice pellets of ice cream, or you putting cracker crumbs, or sesame seeds to go on a Subway sandwich, dough? What are you putting in that? You change the angle of repose in the bottom, in the funnel at the bottom of that
So if
hopper.
you're putting in Dippin' Dots, which he did stuff for the company with the needles,
So do you.
how do they then keep them from stacking up against the funnel?
They know the angle of repose. And you can
So
do that in a
if
very
they-
small area. You can pile them up and see what gravity does to them.
So that they won't stick
So you
to
don't have
whatever the sides
yeah, so
of
you don't
the-
have them stuck in there.
so that you don't have them stuck in there.
You see, I've got a sand tank out in Nixa, and it's full of
Silica sand.
AS100 grain silica sand, which is a round-bodied sand. And it's an old fuel tank, and it's got a flat bottom on it. It used to be this way, in the ground, and I put it up on legs this way, it's got a flat bottom. Well, it's got a funnel in it. Sand that never turns over. You fill it full of sand, the sand runs to the port, the hole, and it runs out. The rest of it, when you may still have half a truckload of sand inside that tank. Now we get in, we shovel it toward the hole.
Is that something at this point, if anybody in here needed some sand, you'd let them have some sand?
It ain't any good.
No?
No, you wouldn't want it. So I was going to talk about the funnel. We're talking about inverted use of a funnel. We're talking about angle of repose. We're talking about what's left in the funnel if it doesn't have enough angle. Is there a side flow use for a conic or for a funnel, or for material running past this? Is there an instance where you put that in the bottom of a river and the water runs around it and it does anything?
You're gonna lay that on the side?
No. This would be vertical flow. This would be vertical flow with the funnel this way if there's flow going this way.
Did you need a pin for the board?
No. Just think about it. Is there any use for a funnel with material sliding past it for a conic? Help me out.
Well, I can envision a mixing of an additional material into the primary flow back. material.
just by flowing by,
Yeah,
like in a carburetor.
it's gonna draw it out.
Yeah, it will pull it, it will suck it.
Yep.
As you blow sideways on this, it will create a vacuum on the back side of this and of this,
Yeah,
and it will suck material out and mix it with whatever's going
by it.
by it.
Yep.
Okay? I thought a long time on that one, and I could only come up with one
For side flow?
for a side flow use.
Turbine.
Possibly, but you're way complex there. You're getting into real math now. Does anybody know what any hot rodders in here know what a turtle is? When you put a turtle in an intake, sometimes you can put a lump. It can be a lump of chewing gum. It can be a lump of weld. It can be a piece of epoxy that you make and you shape to a certain shape and you bolt it into a flow stream in an intake or an exhaust, and it will enhance the flowing and the moving of the material through that, sometimes making it faster, making it flow even more. Sometimes you've got too big of an inlet and too small an outlet, and the turtle slows it down before it gets tumbled up and messing up with itself. That's just a racer's thing they call it, putting turtles in.
It's either gonna create turbulence or in a few instances,
enhance.
it will actually smooth the airflow.
Yes. When you run an intake on a flow bench, you run 12 vacuum cleaners and you suck all the possible air through this channel, this port. And the port is controlled by where the valves have to be and where the intake has to be. It all, in an engine, it kind of has to be where it has to be. And you hook one of these ports up to a flow bench, and you can take, and they call these turtles, it's a ball on the end of a stick. And you stick it in the intake of this, and you move it around, and you can watch the needles as you move it around, and you'll find places that it will flow better or flow worse. And then, okay, I found it, if I put it right over in this corner where this air turns around, then you go and you pack some clay in there and you do the same test until you suck the clay through the vacuum cleaner. But it's how they design for a better flow of
Aerodynamic resistance.
yes. So as far as sideways and a funnel, I thought, well, we'll have some fun with this. And it's not that I know everything about a funnel.
Well, when you made molds and you put the clay
That was only for thickness.
on the molds,
That was only for thickness.
okay?
We've got one from the live chat here. I think this is more of another thing to do with the funnel than the surrounding the funnel, but if you need the liquid in the funnel cooled or heated, you can increase the pressure of the liquid surrounding the funnel.
I have seen that. Yeah. We're in a town. This is the mecca of food processing machinery. Springfield, Missouri. There are more stainless steel food processing fabricators in Springfield, Missouri than probably any other one place on earth.
Highland,
It's good to know.
Yeah. All bunches of them.
that, yeah.
And some of them are just specialized. Some of them just make the heads for tanks. They don't make the tank, they just make the heads for them. And that's kind of cool.
What kind of food specialties? Like what?
Craft.
Well,
We got craft here as well.
I know a company that has made every line that is used in Oklahoma City that makes Subway bread dough and cookie dough. And there are many of these lines that make the little extruded, and it's automated, and it's moves so fast you can't even see it. I mean, you'd have to have a strobe to see the dough going through this line and getting packaged and sent all over the world. And that's Doctors Group that own that.
And all of the
That was all made in Springfield.
meat packers plants that you had to go to with all the patterns and stuff, that then they make stuff from the patterns and take them to the meat packing. We've done the beef and out in Kansas where they have all that, and we've done the chicken, making stuff for the chicken plants, and everything when you prototype. But this city really has. And I think Sherry grew up in that world. Can
I
you-
did.
You know,
My dad's machine shop, Springfield Tool and Die, was involved in, with Jack Underwood, who was an engineer at Daco. He did a lot with Daco. Anyway, but it was a side gig they had back in the day where honey baked hams, we're all familiar with the spiral sliced. Okay, somebody had to invent the spiral slicer, right? Well, Jack and my dad kind of modified theirs a bit. And anyway, we had hams flying through the shop. It was great. They washed just fine. But yeah.
Yeah, they wash just fine.
They wash just fine and they taste good. Yeah. There's special ham and that you have, that machine was not designed exactly the same as honey baked slicer, but it did the same job.
The same job.
Yeah.
Cool.
what were the,
Yeah.
you did the something,
Carcass washers.
carcass washers.
Carry.
Okay.
Yeah, you know Bill Carey.
I don't know. I probably do.
Carry Engineering.
He built carcass washers
Okay.
up on traffic way.
Okay. Sorry.
And they take a half a beef through one of his machines and take it with hot water,
Mhm.
wash it completely before it turns the corner and goes into flash freeze, wash all the bacteria off of it.
Nice.
And every packing plant in the world has some device
Of that.
washes
Right.
that.
Yeah.
And these guys all have to have what your dad did and what.
Pretty much
what
own
I
that
did.
business.
You know,
Yeah.
They have to
Yeah.
have the people that do these things.
Exactly. Yes.
Well, I have seen a lot of tanks, and this is kind of actually this happened probably in the 80s. You said somebody online talking about the liquid around the tank. They'll make a tank with a hopper bottom out of 2 layers of stainless steel, and they'll spot weld it together in a pattern. And then they'll pump oil in between those, and they'll bulge it out.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's kind of it's a heat exchanger. And they'll run hot oil or they'll run glycol, refrigerated glycol, so that whatever's in this tank stays at a set temperature. So that the process doesn't drift because it's in this tank for holding for a period of time. And that's kind of what and yeah, if you got something that's sludgy, like asphalt, you want that tank hot so it slips out of there and keep it hot, and so that it'll go on out, not just go rock solid on it.
Right.
Or paraffin, chocolate chips.
Don't some of them that want to be kept at a specific temperature then have, not styrofoam, but if they want to keep it at a specific temperature outside of that, then they will put some foam of some kind of,
Well, it's typically insulated, and
Insulated,
the insulation drives the heat or cool, or heat or absence of heat into the material. But the thing is, what you can do in your kitchen with a spoon and a bowl, try to do that 5 million pounds at a time, and handle all that. That's engineering. You really got to worry about how, if you're making chocolate chips and you got this big vat full of liquid paraffin that's chocolate flavored, which is what a chocolate chip is, before you drop them out, you got to keep that hot so they'll extrude. So how do you do that? You engineer it, you figure it out. You've probably got a funnel or two in there.
An extruder would be another example of a funnel.
It changes the flow and the pressure. Absolutely. That's why it's kind of funny. Isn't that a type of, it's an extruder, but you have force behind it. You can put power more than your hand behind it. But if I had that full of water and I hit that hard, I could push water clear to the other end of the room. Well, we talked about inverted use. I've seen things like a funnel hang in a grain bin, and the grain comes out of the auger and comes down and hits the funnel, and it will spread it to the edges of the bin. So the bin fills in a more even manner, and it's like you hit the outside of the funnel. I have seen that. Has anybody seen a deal where they use a conic to spread something?
Yeah, the trains, you see the cars, they'll have that. To be able to take the grain and stuff, those cars, not the coal cars, but the the ones that.
Inside of
Inside.
a grain car, yeah, they've got a spreader that, yeah. So it doesn't bridge up in there. Even some of them still have vibrators on them that they put power to, and they'll vibrate the car, and so the grain will fall out. Because the angle of repose changes as the moisture content of the product changes. You get a real high moisture content on wheat, and it don't want to drain out of anything. But if it's super dry, it's hard to keep it in.
I was looking up on Quora, and it says, what is the use of the angle of repose? And it says the use of angle of repose is not in geometry, but in civil engineering. We need the value of the angle of repose in the design of earthen dams, retaining walls, and canal embankments. Then it goes on. But I'm just wondering, because in Branson, they have that Table Rock Lake or something over there, and I don't know if it was that, Moonshine Beach, I think.
Yeah.
And that's the Corps of Engineers that made that, and I'm wondering if that was done through
There is definitely an angle of repose.
angle of repose.
As all the rock and the riprap that's laid there is laid at a specific angle because they know it's not going to tumble on down to the bottom of the lake.
Yeah.
It's done. Where it's sitting, it's done. It's less than the angle of repose. If it was stacked up to the perfect angle of repose, you'd always have a little bit drifting down. But it's below the angle of repose, so it's there, it's permanent, it compacts into place. And yes, civil engineering, every viaduct, every ditch that's dug, the angle of the walls of the ditch, you've got the angles of the wall of a ditch. You think a ditch digger goes down in a ditch and he digs vertical walls. Well, a lot of them die from digging vertical walls because the thing caves in on them. They didn't have any angle of repose.
Depends on the material in which the ditch is being dug.
That's why they rent these deals that are steel plates with pipes between them. Well, there's a name for those. What do they call those?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
They're like reinforcements.
I think OSHA made them do it.
Yeah, because the ditch will fall in and kill a couple of guys,
Yeah.
and they can't dig them out fast enough. They suffocate.
Well, the channel was a pretty good innovative process.
They chewed that out of rock, though, didn't they? Pretty much.
That was chalk model.
Shock, yeah.
I was also watching St. Helens explosion. I mean, now that you mentioned the angle of repose, you know. See, when I look at it that way, the heat, the constant heat liquefied the rocks. So the angle of repose changes, and before you know it, the pressure,
It's
blew up on that
dissipated.
side.
Yeah. Yeah.
It became liquefied a little bit,
Yeah.
and then slippery maybe, or whatever,
Well, when we talk about angle of repose, there's an ideal angle for every specific job. And that's where engineering comes in, and trial and error. But there is an ideal angle. On a Venturi, for a carburetor on a car, there's an ideal angle that makes that work at peak performance.
I look pretty much nature has all that, it's not just the angle of repose, but any specific matter. They have a rest area or rest position that they settle down, no matter what you do, because that balances or that harmonizes things in the world, The trick is how to find that, and doing it engineering or trial and error is the way to go.
Have you ever seen the performance of quicksand?
Yeah.
I've standed at the,
Not for very long, you didn't.
oh my goodness, his folks lived on, had a farm, and they would go down to the river away from the farm, where the cows would get the thing, and the first thing they told me, I think I was 17, was you don't want to go over there, there's quicksand.
Oh my.
And that was my first
Quicksand is a
introduction to
mixture
quicksand.
of water and sand. If you just have sand, you've got an angle of repose on sand, but when you mix enough water with quicksand, and it doesn't matter how deep the pool is, you mix enough in there and you keep it stirred up, which a river does if it's got some flow to it, it'll keep it stirred up. that sand will be level and it'll look like just level sand, but when you step on it, you just like stepping into a pool of water and you just go down. And
I can still hear his mother saying, Jenny, step back, you'll
Yeah.
disappear.
well, this river, this was the North Enniscaw River ran through the farm, and most of the year the river ran underground. There was an immense amount of the river that ran underground that you never saw. The river would appear to be dried up or have an inch or two of water in it and just sand, but it was still running a lot of flow because it kept the city of Wichita in drinking water all summer long, no matter how dry it was.
Oh.
And it didn't evaporate when there was just a skiff of sand on top of the river, you know, but that quicksand was still in there and that river flowed deep. And of course, Kansas is all sand.
I had grew up on a river, but I had never heard of that you couldn't just walk across the river wherever you wanted to walk across the river without disappearing.
Oh my.
We're talking about funnels. Let's talk about clogging or stoppage in a funnel, or in handling liquids, or in handling. Now, one of the things we talked about is having some coarseness so that you can let the air out. Has anybody ever been to a Coca-Cola bottling plant in their life?
But I haven't seen the fun that they would have.
I don't know in today's world, but in first grade I got to tour Morton Salt, where they make salt blocks for cattle, and I got to tour a Coca-Cola bottling plant and watch them pour Coca-Cola in glass bottles. Got to watch them wash the glass bottles. And there is, like this has got a groove in it, the filler has got like a straw beside the fill that the product comes through. There's a little straw, and there's always a vacuum coming through that straw. They suck the air out of the bottle. By sucking the air out of the bottle, they get a little at the top when it's full. They get a little Coke in there, but it fills the bottle much faster. Part of their filling, because they fill those bottles so fast you can't see them going by.
I've watched it, I didn't know that was happening.
There's a vacuum, there's a pump with a vacuum.
It's going in faster.
Sucks it in, yeah. And I'm sure that there are many products that are filled into plastic and glass bottles that it's assisted with the vacuum.
They probably designed the Coke bottle with those. So it would go ahead and allow it to flow in there.
I don't know about that. Ken.
No, I think that's just decorative.
That's just so they can sue somebody that copies them. How about, there's a word.
That would be their branding, would be the positive way
Or
of saying
trademarking or whatever. The
Be their
swirl on the
brand.
bottle is, yeah, we're off in Jan's work. She's gonna cut me off here in a minute. Shut up. Does anybody know what roiling is, or mixing? I don't have one, but you know what a static mixer is? You take epoxy and you squirt it through a tube, like a caulking tube, and there's two of them.
Yeah.
And when you push it through that tube, it goes into a thing with a little corkscrew tape, and as it swirls around in there, that stuff all, by the time it goes from one end to the other, it's totally mixed. Well, you'd have to stir that with a stick for 2 or 3 minutes to get it mixed that well.
Well, how long has that been out? I've seen that a lot lately.
Oh, probably from the 70s. It's something they come up with in the 70s.
I've seen the caulking tubes all my life, and all of a sudden now I'm starting to see more.
Well, I'm an old goof. So,
yeah.
The problem with those is that they're normally one shot.
Yeah.
when you stop,
Not reusable.
they're not reusable. Yeah, it's over. You
Some
have to
of
put a
them-
new one on.
I have seen them come with extra tips.
Yeah, they're starting to make it now where you can, it's not wasted.
Or the great stuff, the foam, there's no mixer in that. That comes out, and when it hits air and the moisture, I think that's really moisture set.
Yeah.
It's the foam that comes out of the aerosol that you.
I think that's 2 chambers down inside. It is a mix up in the button
It
end.
must be up in the head because the tube that you use is just one tube.
That's correct. That's the dispenser tube. The problem with that, all of those foam products like that, is once you trigger the initial usage,
It's over.
it's, you better
Use it all.
You gotta use it all,
Yeah.
because it's gonna harden in the can.
Yeah.
It's gonna harden in that mixer, little mixer
Yeah.
chamber in there.
Yeah.
And that is within the can of the tube, because you can take a screwdriver
That's right.
and just have it come out the top like a soda can. Just
I've
have
never done that.
But it's still, but
Remember the days of the church key where you take the bottom of a paint can, you open the bottom of a paint can with a church key and you open the paint everywhere?
Yeah, you can clean the tube out and all, but it's still, it's hardened inside.
You'll never get there.
Yeah, it's, once it's done, it's done.
So all that roiling and mixing, we're talking about back at the top where says it changes flow and pressure. When you have flow or pressure, and you have some mechanical means of mixing, you've got the static mixer. And we see that a lot in today's technology, throwaway static mixers. We see tapers and the features of a funnel, we see that in
I'm having trouble with the word static in there.
static means stand still.
Stop.
There's nothing moving. There's nothing going around in there mixing it up.
It's the liquid
It's
itself.
the liquid itself going around and around. It's
Got
like
it.
a piece of tape in there that's twisted.
Got it.
So the liquid goes around and around and the tape stands still.
Thank you.
You got spray nozzles for spreading a stream or vaporizing. You got pressure control on a spray nozzle. We're kind of getting off into some different physics here, but it's all about control of flow and pressure. A spray nozzle is a mechanical static mixer that breaks up a stream of material into a mist or into hopefully a vapor. You spray through a spray nozzle, and hopefully when you spray your hair, you're getting a mist of the product all over your hair instead of just a glue bomb in one place.
We got an airless paint sprayer, and that's just
That is just
concentrated.
pressure. That is pressure.
Yeah, of liquid, no air.
Yeah, there's no air there. That is all pressure. That's pretty fantastic. The way that's a static deal. There's nothing moving inside the nozzle there.
You got 5 minutes.
I got 5 minutes. Have you ever seen have you ever seen a filter, not a filter, have you ever seen a funnel with a lid on it? So they keep the dirt out of it. Now, this spent most of its time upside down on a bench with an oily rag laying over it, so this all stayed clean. I haven't been as good, but my dad had an oily rag. It was a chamois, I think. It was just soaked in oil, and it was filthy on the outside. He'd pick it up, and he'd lay it to the side, and he'd use this, and he'd come lay it back over, and it always stayed clean. He never had to wash it. I've seen deals that you can put a can of oil or screw in a bottle of oil. We get oil in a bottle now, and it stays there. Well, you can put it in your car and then pull it out and put a cap on. You know, if you're inventing a funnel, you know, you need to think about how much can I do with this? What do I want to put into it? You know, how much, you need the groove in the neck or ribs on the outside so that it'll let the air out. How about if we're not dealing with liquid or granular, how about if we're dealing with light?
Light?
Light.
Light.
Optical uses of a funnel.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's through a lens. When you shine light through a lens and you start burning paper or burning ants in the ant pile, you focused and concentrated the light. The photons of light that hit the face of your magnifying glass were concentrated all into one place. That's a funnel.
Yep.
Tell me it's not.
That's fine.
We're controlling, what are we controlling?
Pressure.
Directionality of photons.
flow and pressure.
Flow and pressure.
Of photons. Okay? As a reflector, like in a reflector telescope. It can go through a lens, or it can hit a reflector, a parabolic reflector, and come back to a point of focus. A double mirror, microwave antenna. Then I got off into one of my favorite ones, a foundry sprue, or a pour cup. You pour metal into a cup, and it slops around in there, and you don't want that cup around because it'll go in and it'll come right back up out at you. You want that to be triangular shaped or square shaped, so it goes in and it hits the walls and eventually goes down the hole, the sprue hole.
The old cameras had single lens reflex and had a mirror.
Yeah.
2 minutes.
Got spinning lawn spreaders. That's one of the places I've seen veins where you drop fertilizer onto a deal and it's spinning and it flames out material. A Dixie cup, single use. How about an ice cream cone? What does that have to do with flow and pressure? Blood pressure? Blood flow, you eat enough of it, plugs it up. A bullet cartridge, they're tapered. Put a big bang behind a small piece of lead.
The Dippin' Dot needles, they're larger ones for chocolate and all the other ones are smaller.
Yeah. There's caulking tube cartridges. They got a kind of a funnel on the front of them. You cut the thing off to whatever size flow that you want to see out of it.
You've got a suggestion online, a prism. It kind of works.
Bends light. It bends light. And does it really concentrate it or focus it? It really takes a lens to do that. A prism will bend it and separate it. Typically it separates it, doesn't it?
Depending on the optics.
White light, yeah, it separates it. Well, we were talking about control and freedom, and I've got to put a plug in for the Almighty Father. We are all, in our ways, inventors.
Yes.
And that makes us little creators. We make things. We make this, we make this, we make this, we make this, and we're proud of that. And I'm a pretty staunch believer that God made us, the Almighty Father made us, and I think He's proud of us. Even though we're kind of decrepit and deranged and crazy, you might say.
But that's only humanly. In Genesis 1 in the Bible, and God said, let us make man in our image and likeness. Male and female, He created them. And perfect is the Father. So if we start with that basis, even if it's just in our prayers, then we can get more of that in our experience, don't you think?
This is my opinion, and this is opinion only, and that, I'm the clown expected to do most of the talking here, okay? Unfortunately, you're expected to receive. You're expected. I'm expected, you're expected. So this is formed as just a funnel for control. So here I'm going to manipulate your thoughts a little bit. You're free to come or stay or leave or whatever. But we weren't created the way we are now. We were created perfect. You already said it, we were created perfect. And we're also created free from any outside control. We were free to walk away. We were free to stay. In the very beginning, in the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve, they were free to stay. They were free to leave.
What's the allegorical analysis of that, though?
Each of us still has that choice. We have no idea how free we are. We're free to accept what's been done for us, or we're free to turn our back on it and walk away. And I'm talking there about redemption and restoration, to the original design. We were made to a design, an original design. We've veered quite a ways from that in many of our lives. I know in mine I have. And a price was paid, and I choose to accept that price. It's good enough for all my wayward ways and past and future. And I look forward to not only, I really believe that, I believe that restoration is ahead for all of us. There's a restoration to a perfect state, and it'll happen in a twinkle of an eye. I think our redemption is a done deal. It happened many years ago. That kind of makes me, I guess, what you call a Christian, but that's just my opinion on it. And I guess I don't have any more to say.
Not popular one, I guess.
It's
It's okay. It's okay.
You know, everybody,
I'm free to choose that. I am free to choose that.
when you're leading the
You're free
meeting, you
to
can
choose to believe
say,
what you wish to believe.
absolutely, absolutely.
And everybody else is too.
Galen, go ahead.
Psychosis is bliss. Ignorance, oh, it's too easy.
It's too easy.
Psychosis.
Knowledge is hard.
Oh, it's rigid.
Wisdom,
static.
search of wisdom is very
They'll drain
difficult.
you to the bottom, you know.
That's
what I
right.
think.
Well, thank you guys. Now we're ready to follow me, do exactly what I do for a minute. Stand up, just for a minute. Raise your hands way up high. I want you to circle your hands way up high. Now I want you to nod your head back and forth, and back and forth, and back and forth. All right, sit down. And now Gus is going to change the atmosphere a little bit, and he's going to show us some things that he's been doing. Augustus, you're on.
I've been too busy working on my project to think about how to introduce it, so who remembers back in 1997, I think, when Toy Story came out?
I recall.
All right.
I recall.
About last year, the update to it, the Lightyear movie,
Haven't seen.
Buzz Lightyear.
the Buzz Lightyear movie.
I'm no of them, I never saw them.
I think I liked it as a movie. I wouldn't say it was a good movie, but I liked the update to Buzz Lightyear's design, kind of giving him a military-esque NASA suit. So since that came out, I've been tinkering online, finding things, downloading, and 3D printing, and workshopping this that I've just started beginning. Pass some of these around.
Cool.
You're going to
It's
tell
a
us what
baby
they
Buzz
are?
Lightyear uniform.
Stan just
Armored
called it.
suit. Yep.
I've begun 3D printing my own Buzz Lightyear Halloween costume.
Cool.
That's the gauntlet, that's the glove, with all that on the back of the glove.
Wow.
Yeah, that's cool.
Very neat.
Go ahead and pass that one
Yeah,
around.
that's cool. Okay, what's this one?
That's a lot of work. A lot of angles.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, that's a lot of yards of string.
I've had such a difficulty
Wow.
printing this because all of my filament is in storage and I'm pulling it out and
Got moisture in it.
it's too moist. It's brittle. And my mother keeps asking me why, because it keeps snapping within the printer. So she's asking me if I can hydrate it anyway. I keep trying to explain to her. I need to dehydrate it. Huh?
You have to add some.
Dehumidifier, maybe?
No, I'll tell you how we do that. We get a big
Water's
box
not the issue.
and we put a heat lamp in that big box and we put our material in there and we don't want it more than 180 degrees. But at 180 degrees, you leave it there for
Lot of work.
2-3 days and
Amazing. It's made
it'll
all
dry out the
pieces.
material.
I've seen some
We have the
people-
same problem with the big printer.
Oh, yeah.
Very neat.
The big printer, yours, it doesn't use just like PLA and ABS, right?
No.
It does?
It's
I thought
something
they used a
that's
special
been
material.
apart.
Oh, we have we have permits for some special material, but most of what we use is PC and ABS. We don't use PLA.
Try and
Isn't that amazing?
make it fit well, I need to stuff it.
But he's got to have it before you can turn it on, so keep it.
Custom fit that way.
Okay, and the red button is the help me button. Help me out of this.
Easy button.
Which,
He's waiting for all the other pieces.
I
to
still have
show
my
us.
easy button from Staples back when we did that. It sits on my desk and people wonder what it is.
Hey, Augustus, where'd you get these pieces from, or did you
He
mold
made,
them?
he made them.
I made
He's
everything
made
except
all
for the
the
glove.
pieces.
You molded, or how do you do that?
Pass it on.
I
How do you
3D
do
printed
that?
them.
Yeah. We'll take and show you 3D print.
Wow,
He's
this is
gonna-
really good looking at. Custom made.
Have you seen the videos on making your own 3D printer string out of soda
The soda bottles?
Yeah.
I have tried that. I'm still trying to get my soda bottles to cut evenly. That's more of a trick.
That is a trick.
Well,
So,
I just saw them make a boat, they had the mold poured, it looked like sand to me, poured the sand
That's rotomold.
in the
Oh,
mold, and then put another thing on top of
That's
it,
rotational
and
molding.
then there was flame, laid part in the
Roto-molded.
picture,
rock
there
and
was
roll.
flame under it.
And you melt
Move
it.
it, yeah.
Well, the sand is polypropylene
Designer
pellets.
developed.
Oh, it's pellets,
And
yeah.
Does the CAD work.
Yeah. Yeti coolers are made that way.
oh, are they?
Then
Yeah,
takes
they're rotomolded.
Are they roto or are they blow
They are rotomolded. There are many knockoffs that are blow molded, but Yeti is rotomolded. Any good one is rotomolded because rotomold gets thick in the corners.
Right now, 3D printing on the cut.
That's where it needs to be
Say what-
heavy.
And blow mold is.
Show them.
Fit in the corners, exactly.
I think he's gonna show us.
But they leave it in the mold and they hit it with urethane, so it's filled.
They're doing it as a single process. Before
Yes.
they crack the mold.
Yes.
They're blowing the walls, they're roto-molding the walls and urethane inside.
They cool it first.
3D.
Well, sure, they got you.
Yeah.
And they-
And then they cave the walls in because it shrinks. About 18% shrinks inside that mold.
Quite a bit.
Show me through some.
Yeah.
And then they caught the urethane to it.
So this is the first time I've actually gotten the whole thing on my arm together, and I'm hoping that my circuitry still works.
Look.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
Wow.
I know somebody who will want you to build him a complete costume.
Who might that be?
Chris Taylor.
Chris Taylor?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I was hoping Mike, our electrical engineer, would be here to see it. He had his little project a few months ago. So the gloves is just a regular work glove. I do intend on making a custom one, outfitted with 3D printed PLA tips and accessories. Then it works up to the arm, which is sanded, buffed, and filled. I've had to work with so much Bondo the past 2 months on this. And then here is a 15 watt, I think it's 15 watt, inch wide diameter laser. My top piece here is, you can see where I've been having issues printing. I just made it as a temporary stand-in. It holds my, I had to make my own momentary switch because they don't make momentary switches this big that aren't also 3 inches long. And it activates a, you can see it exposed here, what is it's an MP3 player that you can upload and program with your own sound bites. It doesn't hold more than, say, 10-minute song.
Like the greeting cards.
Yeah.
Kind of like the greeting cards.
That I've been getting, since I bought this, I've been getting Amazon things for more homemade greeting card tools. I don't want to make a greeting card, I want to make a Buzz Lightyear.
I like your arm.
So, the MP3 player runs off of a homemade, or what I had to do is a homemade holder for it, but it's a 1.7 volt, or 3.7 volt battery. So it does not run on AA's, but I can plug it in here and recharge it like someone would recharge their phone.
Oh, it's a
Hey
recharge.
Jan, if you want to, oh, they ran off. There's kids at the door, so say you should invite them in. The laser runs off of a 9 volt battery, and I have the 2 batteries pseudo rigged in here with a couple of resistors as a, not quite a 10.7 volt, but that's what you get out of it if you tried wiring it up. And see when Jan comes in. Jan, would you like to kill the lights? the cream of the crop. Is there a way we can?
There is no way to, I can stand in front of it.
I can stand over in the
It
corner.
glows.
We can see it glowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the features of the Buzz Lightyear toy in the movie is he glows in the dark, all of his green parts of the armor.
Very cool.
So I had to have mine glow in the dark too.
Got a
It
little
just wouldn't
tritium
feel
in
it.
there.
You did, all
Yeah.
by yourself.
Yep.
Oh,
Those.
gosh.
Neat.
Wow.
All that work. How long have you been working?
Lot of work, lot of
I've been
time.
working on this at night because I'm an insomniac. I don't sleep at night, so I go out to my shop and work at this when I'm not busy in the day.
Hang on, I'll ask these little ones if they want to see.
So this is just kind of the beginning. I thought if I was going to start anywhere, I'd want to start where the action's at, which is the laser pointer part. And trying to find the sounds was more difficult than I thought. Even though Toy Story is a
Hey, you're
Pixar
on.
film.
The kiddos are coming to see
Got
Buzz
some kids?
Lightyear's arm. You gotta get in where it's dark. Go ahead, come in for a minute.
Hello.
Hello.
You guys like Toy Story?
Yeah.
Well, I've got Buzz Lightyear's arm here.
He started with a whole costume.
You want the light on for a minute?
Sure.
He did.
High five.
He's made every piece himself on a 3D printer. Okay, now do you want the light out yet, or?
I think we can leave it on for a bit.
Okay,
Watch your toes.
look down at his toes.
Oh, we got a cat here.
Oh yeah, no, I've got my little dogs and my shepherd dog love the laser pointer part.
I bet
He's
they.
made every piece on a 3D printer and figured it all out
The dog
himself.
over there is checking the laser out.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
Oh, she is. She's watching.
Yeah, I got a dog over there. She's fine.
Oh, here?
Just leave her.
Yeah, Patrick, no.
You ready for the light out?
You guys want to see the cool trick?
Yeah.
My arm here can glow in the dark.
Glows.
Over in the far corner, it really glows.
Yeah, let me try to not trip over a chair. I use this little UV light to charge up the phosphorus in the surface. Can you see the glow in the dark?
Augustus is here the first Sunday of every month, and we do the Inventors Network. It's free if you guys ever want to come and watch and learn. It's amazing. You've got all kinds of people here that will help, and it's a pretty neat thing. First Sunday of every month, we're in our 16th year. Would you like a brochure?
You can go ahead and turn the lights on too. So over the next year, hopefully year is my time frame, I'll be working on the rest of the suit, working from the torso up and then down. And I think I'll come in one day and I'll have the whole thing. It'll light up, it'll have the Arduino and the space helmet.
Cool.
And you know what, for the children, Walmart has an Easy Thread K7 3D printer for kids.
I want
This is a test part I 3D printed. You want to pull your arm out, you probably can fit it. So I made that as a proof of concept to test my paints out. And where's the other plate?
Here's the other place.
Yeah, there's a small
That
one.
shows how it's 3D printed in layers.
This is just for children.
Can you guys see this?
3D printer.
See all the little lines going that way? A 3D printer, it builds this part line by line and adds it together. And then you can see the lines here?
Do you put like liquid or something inside this?
It's extruded plastic string.
String?
It's heated and melted just like squeezing toothpaste out of a tube. Layer after layer after layer, only it solidifies. It's heated at the nozzle, then it solidifies as you build it up.
So then I take it, this is like a little test part, I buff it out and fill it with like automotive Bondo. The gray on here is filler primer. So I take this, then I sand it down, fill it again, sand it down till I get a really nice finish like on my forearm here.
I love this, just like Buzz Lightyear.
Isn't that neat?
It is.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get the rest of it made up and done.
Yeah.
Have to go to a comic convention or San Diego Comic-Con or something.
Right.
Cosplay. You know what cosplay is?
I've never been too much into cosplay as I am just making costumes. Because cosplay, it's costume play. You have to pretend to be who you're dressed as. I don't want to pretend to be Buzz Lightyear, I just want his cool suit. his studs are enough for me.
Good job.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you for calling us in. Thank you.
Feel free to stop at the next meeting.
Thank you.
I have one more use for a funnel.
Bye.
I had a great uncle, he was a doctor, and he got to be hard of hearing, couldn't hear.
Oh, yeah, earphone.
And so, he didn't stick the funnel in his ear, he was a doctor and he had a stethoscope. And so he wore the stethoscope around his neck, and when somebody knocked on the door, he put the stethoscope on, and on the tube he had a funnel, and he'd walk up, open the door, and stick the funnel right in your face. You want to talk to him? He was hard of hearing.
What about a megaphone? Cheerleaders.
Well, I don't know how that works. So sound, light, liquid, solid.
Anything that
Megaphone's
travels
a
in
mechanical
fluid motion.
amplifier.
Well, when you get down to the basic, like pressure and temperature and changes, well, you bifurcate in all direction in nature.
Did you bring my box that had the white books in it? In?
It's in the trunk of the car.
Did you bring it in?
I don't think I did, Jan. Do I need to go get it? I can go get it.
You know.
Well, what I was gonna do is, I think now what we're
You've
gonna
got
do.
8 minutes.
I know.
I'm gonna keep us out here.
We're getting ready to close our meeting, and let's bow our heads, and then if you'll stay, we have a little bit of business to do after we close the meeting, okay? Father, thank you that we've had fun today, and we've learned so much, and we just thank you for helping us to do that, and for giving us the wisdom a little bit at a time as we see what incredible things that you continue to create. We thank you in thy name, amen. So if we could go ahead and shut the cameras off, that would probably be a good thing. And then we will go from here.
Thank you for everyone watching this month's Septimus Inventors Network meeting. Take care.